The final third.
I think Pepe's so comfortable.
You should be in
just need to shake him.
You should be in prison. We build you out. We build you out to come and play this season. You're out here disgracing us. You should be in prison. You facing charges.
Yes, people, welcome back to another episode of The Final Third. But it's special this time because it's deadline day. Where's your piece of yellow? Where's your yellow satin? It's like a wedding. You gotta have a yellow satin. Perfect. Me, it's this right here.
If I said it,
I'll give you the chance to say it. I'll give you niggas a chance to say it.
This man added Turkish Airlines. Yeah, he's an industry plant.
He's raking bread off. He's raking bread.
This man is an industry plant. Oh my gosh.
Bro, he's raking bread off of that.
Fabrizio Romano is an industry plant. How is he?
I saw him like the first time he tweeted that Turkish Airlines thing. I was thinking, what is that? What does that have to do with the price of bread? Then I deeped, yeah, just a little bit of pee behind that. Come with every tweet. Not everybody. I can't lie, it's worked because whenever I think of the tweets, I always think of what Turkish Airlines.
I can't lie. They're savages. They are savages for signing that deal.
They said, let me get involved in footy Twitter, whichever way I can. Whichever way I can.
They are savages. Brandon is crazy.
Man said, flipping Fabrizio Romano, here we go tweets.
They said, let me get a toke on that. Because how much do you think he's charging for that? Everyone. And you know what? I've realized how the scope of transfers have changed from before. It just used to be solely Sky Sports and maybe David Ornstein and a couple of verified journalists.
And Sports are about high, bro. They get
and a couple of verified transfers, yeah. But nowadays, like a couple of verified tweets and journalists, and then Ornstein, but mainly Sky Sports was everyone's main source. Now, in the landscape, in the last 4 years, I'd say about 4 years, the landscape of transfers has changed. 2 people confirmed to it. If David Ornstein tweets, or Fabrizio Romano tweets, that's it. And I've been seeing like loads of like channels and esteemed journalists. All they're doing is echoing those 2 tweets. Like they said, if once they announce it, it goes out on every platform, every channel, and you can see reporters and journalists just reading their tweets to through platforms. So it's like,
I'm sure they caught one of the Sky Sports presenters reading Fabrizio's timeline during the transfer show. Like nowadays, it's not Ornstein, it's not Romano. It's up in the air. It's up in the air because you got too many guys coming into the. Next season. I'm gonna become a source. Big man thing.
No, you don't need to. You just have to format your tweets a certain way, and then buy the blue tick. Now you can buy it. So
that's
you can
it.
buy the blue tick.
Just start tweeting. Just tweet a little cryptically because I remember I saw one person tweet. This was after Sabitzer got confirmed for United. One United account tweeted, and that might not be the only deal. And with a little wink, I was just like, bro, you haven't actually said anything because you don't know anything. You don't really know anything. But as long as you can have that tick, that little
advantage. This is the thing. People think Fabrizio Romano and people like that. Not Ornstein because he was a journalist, but Fabrizio Romano, they didn't come out of thin air. Like, oh yeah, there's pictures now of Sabitzer in Manchester. Oh, okay. Yeah. Him at the airport. Where's this? Which airport's this? Oh, there's pictures of him at the airport boarding and stuff. Sky tour, but yeah, okay. So
it's gonna follow you everywhere.
If Eriksen got injured, tomorrow, what happens? What difference?
It would have been peak. That's just the bottom line of it. This is the bottom line.
Let's start there. If Eriksen got injured tomorrow, I didn't think about that.
I had the same. I literally thought about that. Like, if this injury happened, like,
if it happened tonight, actually they don't train at night. If this happened tomorrow, what happens?
It would have been peak. It would have been literally Fred, McTominay, and Kobe Mino.
No, but I think Van der Beek got to play, and that's fine. And I think
he's out to the end of the season, bro. Who did he get injured? I think it was against Forest or against Bournemouth, one of those teams.
He's got to step up. I always thought it was just Van der Beek's got to step up.
He's out till the end of the season, bro. It's done. We're literally down to the bare bones. McTominay is actually injured right now, so our only fits like senior midfielders are literally Fred, and Casemiro, and Bruno technically. Like
Yeah, Bruno, Fred, and Casemiro. So now you've got with just them three, and then you have to promote one of the youngsters.
literally, Kobe Mano has already been rolling with the first team. 17, 18 years old, I think. 17, 18. He played against Charlton in the League Cup, played against Reading in the FA Cup. He's
Was
probably
AP
going
on loan?
to be expected.
You
Say that
sold
again?
him.
Who?
Andres Pereira, was he on loan or you sold him?
He's gone. He's gone. He's enjoying himself. I wouldn't even want to bring him back. He's having fun in Fulham. He's having fun in
Okay,
Southwest.
so bits must go through. I think it has gone through. But
Gone through. It's gonna go through, I believe. Like, yeah. As you said, if it happened tomorrow, game tomorrow.
how are you
He's
feeling
done.
about this? How are you feeling about this? Because he's very different to Ericsson. He's not an Ericsson type of player, even though he's got a pass in his locker, but he's not that sort of player. He's more of a who would you describe him as a pass player you've seen?
He's more of a not Bruno in the sense he's similar to Bruno in the sense that he likes to get shots off, but he's much more of a from our like I haven't seen him much Bayern, but from his Leipzig days, it was much more box to box, like high energy midfielder. Who can I compare him
Lampard.
to? Conor Gallagher.
Lampard. It was Lampard. Like that's esque of player. Like Bruno is a weird type of eight. Bruno's a weird type of eight, but he's like
Bruno's
he can
a
get.
genuine
See how
player,
Lampard sometimes shoots, arrives late, gets into the box. That is just like that's the type of player he was. Like he can shoot from afar. He gets into the box that he can carry a little bit. He's very erratic in the sense of very mobile. So yeah, so I think
Yeah,
he's a good sort. He's different to Ericsson. A lot less
I think
composed,
yeah,
or a lot less composed. I would say, but I'm using solely off his Leipzig days
yeah. I think we lose
and Austria. Sorry.
we lose the technical like security that Ericsson gave us in the midfield when you bring in Sabitzer. He's not. I don't think he's like in terms of close control, in terms of like neat passing in the middle. I think Ericsson's like a better level than Sabitzer. But in terms of any like for me, whenever I've watched Ericsson especially recently, you just notice how much he loses his duels and how much he doesn't even want to engage in duels. So it's
No,
nice that
Sabitzer makes you strong. There, he's a battler.
100%. He makes us stronger. He
He
makes us
makes you
stronger.
stronger.
He's gonna rattle about and he's gonna put himself into duels and he's gonna put
But
himself.
yeah, he's a battler. He's a battler. He puts himself. He gets about. He gets
Yeah.
about significantly, and he can padlock. If you want to play defense, like he can hold it down. I give him that.
So I think it gives us a different dimension. I think it's a nice blend in terms of this again because you have to remember he's not a
I think it
Leipzig.
worked.
This is the Bayern Sabitzer. You have to hope he can find his old form because again, I'm looking at Bayern fans on the TR and they're laughing. They're saying, "Yep, take him. Yeah, take him."
But Bayern fans don't know what, like, just like Real Madrid fans sometimes, Bayern fans don't know what they're missing in the sense of, okay, if he has a couple bad games for you in the Bundesliga, what is that? Like, when because you're spoiled for choice sometimes, you kind of don't appreciate what you have. And Sabitzer also has something to prove in that. I don't think how long has he been at Bayern from Leipzig? About 2 seasons or about season and a half? So it's not that far. It's not that far away. It's not that far away. His Leipzig form. So it's not like you're signing Coutinho respectfully from Bayern Munich, and it's been like that in dormant for a while. So let's see. I feel like it gives you better balance in the midfield trio with Casemiro, Sabitzer, and Bruno. I feel like you're a lot. What you lose in Ericsson, you gain elsewhere.
Yeah.
So you gain instability, and it works. It's just that no one else can afford to get injured. That's all.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see because we already struggle. Casemiro's helped to improve a lot, but in terms of progressing the ball, we have set plays that help us a lot. But in terms of like Ericsson helps us get from midfield to the final third a lot quicker, and in terms of finding those passes. And it's all good in terms of Sabitzer. And as you said, he's going to bring some things that are going to help us. He's going to bring some things like shots outside of the box, the energy runs into the box. But who's going to find? Like now, we need to really look and see who's like. It's important to see who's going to find these players that are running into the box. It's not always going to be Casemiro. Again, sometimes he's going to have to be the one to try and thread those passes. find Rashford out wide, find Anthony. It's going to be interesting seeing how he adapts to that role because you've already got Bruno, and you know what Bruno wants to do. Bruno wants to be in those action areas as well. You can't both be in those action areas. One of you has to be a little bit deeper, a little bit more creative. Maybe that's on Bruno to do because he's been in the system more. He can under Ten Hag. He's shown he can be disciplined to an extent. Maybe he's going to have to take on a bit more of a disciplined role. We'll see. But I think a lot of United fans are hoping that Sabitzer just fits in seamlessly and like all of his qualities and strengths just naturally like take over and it fits perfectly. But it's not I don't think it's necessarily going to go like that. I feel like there's a lot of it's gonna in terms of that midfield shape, it's gonna have to move around a little bit to make it work.
Now, this Alanga staying at Man United now. Alanga he's been linked to several clubs. I saw at one point Everton, at one point Barcelona. I was seeing some crazy links, but decided he stayed. Besides that, even Harry Maguire was linked to somewhere throughout this window, but he stayed. Besides that, I don't think there's been not that much movement for you lot this window. So
Enzo might be leaving. My dog. He had to end this way.
This window, as a Man United fan, I would say you're disappointed in your lack of activity, but I guess this is a rebuild season, so it's like
I think at this point, United fans were not surprised that it happened like this because we're flat out broke, and the fact that we were scraping around for the Weghorst signing, scraping around for the
Weghorst you sign.
Yeah, well,
in terms of why are you broke? Are you broke because the Glazers are trying to sell and they're not trying to put money in, or you broke because you spent all your money on Anthony?
Bro, the Anthony money isn't even ours. It's technically on the credit card. We took out the loan to buy it. We went to Loan Shark. We went to flipping Wonga.
Why?
Well, because we're flat broke before that.
No, why did you? And now you're looking at like, why did we do that?
I'm telling you, if we don't lose against Brighton and Brentford, I don't think we sign Anthony. I'm not even sure we signed Casemiro. We most likely signed Casemiro. We 100% do not sign Anthony. But because it got so bad and it got so toxic, we went to some bad people and got some bad money. Now, as you can see, we're paying the price for that because we're flat broke. And a lot of people would say we could have used that Anthony money better, and I would say I agree. But we're here now. I don't think in the summer, if you could not afford to not give Ten Hag what he needed to work. I think that would have been the worst. I think not having the money now is better than not giving Ten Hag what he needed to work in the summer. If you get what I'm saying, like in the summer, we didn't have no scouting processes. We didn't know Ten Hag's profiles properly.
You just have to trust his eye.
You had to trust Ten Hag. You had to trust Ten Hag to the players that he wanted, because you look at the signings. Lisandro Martinez from Ajax, he's worked with him. Eriksen trained with him, worked with him, knows his profile. Anthony obviously worked with him before. Who else was there? Casemiro. Nobody even needs to question that. That's Casemiro.
And the only one that's really been failed is the Anthony, the most expensive one. So
yeah, and you have to it didn't start off fast for Anthony at Ajax as well. So I'm sure Ten Hag is hoping that something's he's gonna become more natural in the system. But we literally had to rely on Ten Hag's eye and say, you know what, you can get us the players that can make us competitive again. Next summer, when we get money, hopefully we get. I'm not sure how the financial situation is going to look in the summer, but hopefully we have the bread to go and buy some players. Next summer, that's when the scouting team needs to come and earn their money and needs to come.
As in this next coming window,
summer 2023. That's when the scouting, that's when the analysts, that's when our network needs to come and earn their money and say it can't just be Ten Hag's eye this time, because after a year, you know his profiles, you know the type of players he wants for each position. If the money gets too much for certain players, that's when you can walk away and say, you know what, we've got alternatives that can do just as well. Because I think we're going to talk about Enzo later, but I think about Enzo. Enzo's an amazing centre midfielder, don't get me wrong. But you cannot tell me you can't find a similar midfielder for a lot less money. He's a quality midfielder, do not get me wrong. But with proper scouting and proper processes to find the similar profiles, you can't tell me you can't find a midfielder that does a very similar job to Enzo for much less money.
For 40 mil.
Don't have that process because everything's new at Chelsea. Todd Bowley's just stopped becoming a sporting director. You have to literally once you
literally scattergun approach, drunken sailor approach, like.
Yeah, you just have to get the best player. The best player is something he's gonna cost the
And
best
clubs
money.
know that, so they're just asking you. And luckily, Chelsea don't really feel it. They're just like, you know what, we'll pay because
We'll pay
100 him being the record Premier League fee is a disgrace. But hey, it's actually a disgrace. It's an outright disgrace. But let's move on to North London, where the club that's really kept the transfer window alive in terms of top stories. Let's be honest. Arsenal in the last 3 days has kept a couple channels alive. It's kept a couple TLs alive. Yeah, it's kept people cooking in terms of this season's transfer. This year's transfer window, once again, Arsenal have come box office in terms of not for the right reasons, but they've been box office. Let's fast forward. Let's rewind. Sorry, to the last 3 days. Caicedo. 70 mil was the last offer, rejected by Brighton. And now, today, Jorginho is announced as an Arsenal central midfielder. I spoke to my dad about this, so my head was so hot, and they just offer you a different perspective, don't they? He was like, "Listen, you know what? Yeah, you know, older generation, they give you a different look on it." So I said, "You know what? Let's hear this." So he said, "You know what? It's a very good signing. It's 12 mil. We have the youngest squad in the league. 12 mil. I think you can balance it with experience. And what he doesn't offer us playing, he can offer in the dressing room. He's probably outside Xhaka. He's probably one of the most experienced Premier League players in our squad in terms of game time. And he's won more than Xhaka, and he's won more than only the two Man City boys. Won a Champions League. I said, okay." I said, listen, I told him, listen, my issue with Jorginho is that because now we've turned into a ball dominant team predominantly. So majority of the match, we're going to be on the ball, we're going to keep the ball ticking. He would fit into that seamlessly. What we need to work on him in terms of on the ball is just getting the pace, getting up to scratch, because he needs to get it forward. You get cool, that's fine. He can do that. That's very easy to coach with what he has already. In transition, we'll be very exposed with him. I feel like depending on who he comes on for, let's say he's playing the part. Let's say he's even playing with Partey. Let's say he's playing the 8 roles, playing with Xhaka. In transition, I feel like it's scary to be slower than Xhaka, but I feel like he'll be more of a liability in transition than Xhaka, and I feel like that is the problem for me. I don't think he's good in the tackle. I don't think he's very, very mobile, and he's not strong at all. So in those moments where we have to lock down a defense, we have to be protecting, and he'll have to be protected, or he'll have to be rely on his positioning. But like I said, I listened to Pops, and he raised some good points in there. I didn't really think about the age profiling and things of that sort, and just experience and maybe switching it up. And yeah, I didn't think about that, so I guess that's a positive.
So yeah, transfer out of 10 at this point.
At this point, him personally, it's a 6. Why it could be a 6 or a 5. Why I say that is because we shouldn't be in this scenario. We shouldn't leave it to the last day again. Do you know, if like since I've been alive, Arsenal have made more moves on the final day than not on the final day, and it's not good enough. It's because I feel like Arsenal for some reason enjoy the scattergun approach, the frantic, the drama of the final day. Like you actually just enjoy it. Sometimes I understand it goes to the wire, but it doesn't need to every single time. We had this season, if any season, we had no right to let any of the deals run to the final course. We know Xhaka Partey's a bit injury prone, so we know in January let's get an update. We knew from the start that from summer Mudryk was like our number 1 target. So by the World Cup, when he was watching matches in Ukraine and everybody, Eddie should have literally not been in Qatar. He should have been in Ukraine sorting out that deal. I feel like if we sorted that deal out at the start of the World Cup, it would have been 60 mil. I don't think it would have been more than 60 mil. I feel like it would have been, because it wouldn't have been written about. Everyone's talking about.
I think they saw Mudryk and saw Anthony and said, "There's no way he's going for less money than."
No, but I'm saying that it would have been patterned. So like, you can't let that. You wouldn't have let that boil. That whole thing boil in January when there's nothing else to talk about. If you patterned it all in the World Cup, gentleman's agreement, everything was done. Yeah, all have been done. 60 mil. Everyone would have thought we got fleeced because even 60 mil is a lot for Mudryk back then. And then
yeah, Partey's injury prone.
anyway, so it's if you watch the last stream, you know, you've been patterned. Yeah, but so that could have been patterned by the World Cup, and then you don't need to get Trossard, which I think is a good substitute to that. Cool. Then the centre back is the unknown. The Polish centre back we've signed is an unknown, so I have no opinion on that. But then this last Caicedo, this frantic Caicedo thing, people were saying, yeah, because we wanted to just have El Neni. El Neni wasn't ever going to be a good enough replacement for Partey. And the blessing in disguise of him getting injured happened 7 days ago or 6 days ago. So why was Caicedo 3 days ago? I feel like if you offered Brighton that money at the start of the window or halfway through the window, they would have said yes. Honestly, I feel like if you offered Brighton 60 mil, they would have said no. And if you got them 70 mil the next day, they would have said yes. Simple.
I think if it happens earlier, there's definitely less resistance. I think there was relatively close. It never looked publicly like that was close to cracking, but if you do this earlier and you start like you get this all done early, I think the Caicedo deal happens because Brighton's scouting network. I think they signed a centre midfielder that probably going to replace Caicedo in the summer already.
Next season or so. But I've also, when I raised the last great point, he said he believes there's probably a gentleman's agreement because it was like even though Arsenal came with a second bid, the ruggedness and the lack of drive in going back for Caicedo after that second bid, I honestly feel like there's a gentleman's agreement. Like, don't rattle because it was all too like Caicedo's a good boy. The fact that they came out and said he's a good boy, I knew he was staying because they were like, Caicedo's a good boy. Stay away from the training ground because he's still coming to play with us no matter what. Arsenal, you lot chill. He can come and we'll consider it in summer. Something like that. I honestly feel like there's no way you just walk away from someone who you wanted to bid 70 mil for. And you didn't want to upset them. They put nothing in the press. There was no, do you get what I mean? So you wanted to keep.
They want to strain the relationship.
Yeah, you want to keep relationships good with Brighton. Okay, well, show us that then. Show us why we're keeping it good in summer. Because if you get him and Rice and you win the league, I don't think any Arsenal fans are upset.
I think just going back, I've got some points on Jorginho that I think 12 million, 18 months. I don't think that's a terrible deal because again, even though Partey is still going to be a number one, I think he's going to be alternated with Partey in terms of when Partey needs to come off or needs a rest, he's going to be playing that position. I think what's different, and I saw some stats today. One shameless Chelsea's fan that I won't even name, Jeffrey, he put some stats into the chat. Comparing
the Chelsea rank one,
huh?
Yeah, no, it was Chelsea rank.
It was Partey versus Jorginho interceptions, tackles, and Jorginho had better numbers. But I think what's going to be different about Jorginho coming to play for Arsenal compared to Chelsea, you're going to if you play that Partey role, you're going to be if you play that number 6 role, you're going to be in the middle by yourself. You're going to be there by yourself. And that's why you saw Lokonga couldn't do it because he didn't know your positioning needs to be correct. Your positioning needs to be correct because you're going to need to cover a lot of ground. Places to make these tackles. That's why Jorginho's numbers being slightly better than Partey's, I don't think it tells the full story just because Jorginho's always
there or Kovacic is there. Someone protecting him, yeah.
He's got someone in the middle with him. Partey, you always see Xhaka, he's going to be high up. Odegaard, he's a little deeper, but he's playing the 10 role. So Partey, he has to cover that ground by himself essentially in that defensive midfield slot. So Jorginho, when he comes into that role, that's going to be something not completely new to him, but he's going to have to adapt to that quickly. Because as you say, in transition, that's where the great number 6s make their money. Being able to stop counterattacks on your ones or slow down counterattacks on your ones, that's where you make your money. But on an 18-month deal, I assume he's going to have limited Premier League action. He's not going to be your starter. I don't think he's coming in to replace Partey. don't think it's the worst though, because as you said, like now you can go back in the summer, pretty much reevaluate, try go for that top class in the midfielder, whether it's Rice or Caicedo or both or whatever it is, and then you can really like, yeah, sort of build on that. And Jorginho is essentially going to be leaving in 2024, a year after. I don't think it's the worst still. It's just as you said, is if this is the difference from the title for you lot, I think that's where it'll just paying a lot of
How do we
Arsenal.
know what's the difference? How do we
Again,
know it will be different? Is it like if he
we
scores a
saw this
penalty?
we saw it last year where you lot were competing for top four, and who was it? It was Tierney and it was Partey that got injured, and the
Yeah.
level dropped off. If something like that happens again and that cover isn't there, and like Jorginho comes in and all of a sudden the level goes down a notch or 1 or 2, then you can say, what happens if you splash out on the top class midfielder now? What happens if you get that midfielder no matter what the cost? What happens if you planned better to make sure that midfielder was here by the end of January? That's when you have all the regrets. But right now, Arsenal in the pole position for the title, you're in pole position to take it home. But again, you think about the injuries that happened last season towards the end of the season, how it derailed your season. If that happens again, it's not like you can say, oh man, things happen, because it's literally a carbon copy of what happened last year. You don't want that to happen. That's why you sort of go out and you get what you need, not what's available.
Okay. So I'm gonna say this with Jorginho. Welcome to the carpet. Don't fuck it up.
He's already said, to be fair, he's already said he wants to come back to Chelsea in some like little Piachet's and come back after he's finished
When
playing.
did he say that?
Said, who did he say? Ornstein or something? It was on the TL. There's a lot of these floating about.
It doesn't even matter. Just don't mess this up, please. That's all I got to say. But yeah. As for me though, if I want someone to leave, we're gonna get onto outgoings in a second at Arsenal. But if I want someone to leave and to get upgrade there, I would say it'd be a sporting director. I'm tired of Edu's incompetence. Yes, we should trust them.
What's his success?
Yes, we should trust them because they've got something right. But for me, it's not the incredible finds in Tomiyasu or Rams or the Ramsdale one in which you did. It's not those ones for me. It's when you say someone is your top signing or your top target and you lose them, or when you say someone's your top signing and you've had 3 months and you get them on the final day, that doesn't show you're good at your job. Partey, that was poor from you. Waiting to the last day. Vlahovic, okay, you let that go and then he said he didn't want to come. Mudryk, poor. This Caicedo stuff, poor. Douglas Luiz,
Bruno
poor.
Perez, you could have got 2 years ago.
Bruno Gomes, poor. Douglas Luiz and Bruno Gomes. Why those are the 2 worst ones? Is because okay, we know you're not good at anybody else but Brazilian folk. You lost those 2. Danilo, this young kid from Brazil you've been wanting to get for XY, poor. And Ndicka, who we said we're linked to. Why did we not get him on the free in the summer or agree something now and then you went to get this guy, the guy from Poland? I just feel like there's a lot of people we say is our top targets in certain positions and then we lose out on them. Don't get Fresneda. If he goes to Dortmund, let's see. If you don't get this Fresneda right back, yeah, because how
many right backs do you need, fam? What's happening?
What do you mean? How many right backs do we need?
You got Tomiyasu, you got Ben White. How many right backs?
Ben White is not a right back. Ben White's filling in on that right back. Tomiyasu's. We need a young. He's young. He's at 17. The guy, this Fresneda, is like next up.
17
or 18, something. I can't remember how old he is, but he's very young.
Around kids, bro. Go get some adults.
No, we got adults there. No, sorry, he's 18 years old. Yeah, so get him in that position. So, and then go get something from the flash sale in Turin this summer because it's up over there. It's literally up.
I'm leaving with Sam.
You go there, you leave with something. There's flash sale in Turin, flash sale at Merseyside. Obviously, we're getting Rice. There's sales going on all over the shop. You can get a lot of stuff in for the cheap on the cheap in Turin. You can get some in summer. So Let's make it happen.
Let's talk about an outgoing from Arsenal. Albert Sambi Lokonga moving to
The
South
Queens,
London,
man.
north
The
to
Queens.
south. Queens.
I think Uncle Pat's gonna do a great job with Lokonga. I feel like he's specifically gonna take him to the training ground and play like play like me, like where they do one-on-one drills together. I feel like there's no better place and no under tutorship to go under than Uncle Pat. To be fair,
You should have sent him to a company. Considering
no,
he's the
no,
one that
no.
recommended him to.
No, 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 no,
Should have
no.
sent him to company.
Companies' role is about to be found out next season when you're gonna start hearing that stuff tick, because companies jury is fake. I ain't been watching Burnley games, but I don't trust that. I don't trust that chain over there.
Where's this trust?
You get
Where's
me?
this mistrust coming from? What's he
I
done to?
don't know. I don't know. This ain't even an agenda, but that chain is fake. That chain is, and you know it's fake. We all know it's a green chain, but we're busy. Diamond tester, we're busy.
It's too busy to dip down into the championship
We're
right
too
now.
busy. We're too busy. We're too busy. Yeah, you can padlock the championship, but I'm sure if we get the diamond test out next season, when company loses, when company goes 1-7, he goes 1 for 7, and the opening day of the season, and that international break come in November. When the November international break come, Vincent, okay. So yeah, Uncle Pat's the perfect place.
For the early kickoff at Goodison on Saturday. They're bringing them Andre Ayew from It's up at Goodison Park, man. Fire soul over there. If any
That's why I'm
mid-table,
saying why we didn't go get Onana, because over there at Goodison, free for all.
I just can't wait till summer. Mid-table teams are gonna have a fight. They're gonna have a ball over there. They're gonna have a ball. There's some nice players to go take over there for mid-table.
There's some pieces we need saving.
I'm telling you. Do you expect the Congo to? Obviously, there's no option to buy for Crystal Palace. Straight loan. Do you expect I guess it all depends on how he plays, but do you expect Lokonga to come back a sort of different player ready to contribute?
I think he's gonna has to come on his Conor Gallagher. Uncle Pat's shown what he does to midfielders over there. I feel like I've been no worry whatsoever. And I feel like, if I'm being honest, I feel like he's scapegoated. I feel like Lokonga's absolutely scapegoated. I feel like the criticism he gets at Arsenal is not fair. When you're replacing a world-class player in their position, it's like... And the thing about Partey is, like, Partey's position is such a specialist position in the 6, because his 6 is the old school 6. It's not the 6 now where you're playing in a double pivot. It's the 6 on your own, and the 6 on your own in an Emirates pitch, that's like one of the biggest. It's tough to do that. It's very, very tough. You ain't got no protection. So I'm sure everyone's seen the video where Odegaard's shouting at him like, "What are you marking?" There's a lot of times where a lot of players.
That was tough to watch.
There's a lot of footage in a lot of games where a lot of players are just doing that in his position, just marking absolutely nothing. But for example, it's Lokonga, and he's gonna get scapegoated for it. He was marking nothing. He was not. You're not wrong there, but
it happens to me. I was playing football on last Tuesday. I had to go DM. When I tell you, I was looking around, nobody, there was nobody around me. I was just like,
you're just looking. What am I doing here?
Bro,
You're at sea.
I went to chill out right back for a little bit. I was just like, yeah, wait.
And then this is the thing. It's a fine line. It's a fine line, because you're there. Then you're like, okay, let me drop. And then you're on your centre back's toes, and he's like, "What are you doing? Get up! Yeah, engage the ball." So you're in no man's land. You have to be spatially aware and clued on. And you only get better. You only get better at playing the 6 the more games you play.
Yeah. I think you're right there. I think since he's come, he hasn't played those games, and obviously everybody will point to that clip in All or Nothing where Nketiah was like, "Bro, you're not the only one that's not playing.
You're not the only one, man.
When it's your time to play, you need to be ready." And to a certain extent, he's right. So that the environment of Arsenal is not for everyone. It's not everyone's gonna thrive straight away in it.
Who'll get his winner's medal?
Huh?
Who'll get his winner's medal? And he'll get his winner's medal. And one thing I'm happy to see for him Lokonga not a 6. That's what I was gonna say. Then he needs to go find out himself if he's a 6 or not, because I don't know if he's a 6. I don't know if that's his best position. Can he play 8? I don't know. Is he a 6? I don't think so.
I
So
don't
we
think
could.
has any Arsenal fans watched tape of before he came. Like, what was he playing? Like?
No, not before. No one's watched before. No one's watched tape from before. But I don't think he's a. I don't think he's a. I don't think he's a 6, and he might be, but I don't think he believes he's a 6 to play for Arsenal. Like, so you need to go find out where his best position is.
I think, yeah, like looking at from that Man City match, obviously that was in his greatest performance, but I think his worst things wasn't like losing tackles or things like that. I think it was the fact that, especially like for the goal, he wasn't close to anybody.
His positioning,
like his positioning is the ability to get there on time and be in that area, because just having another defender in the area changes things. Ake can't make that run if Lekonga's a bit over and like in that space. He's not going to make that run and take that shot because he knows it's likely to get blocked. Knowing where to be is like it's a big thing, and yeah, just like that needs to be. Roy Keane said it in the punditry. Like, if you haven't got those sort of instincts at this point, like it's a bit of a worry in terms of, especially in terms of playing that 6 role. So we have to see whether he's an actual 6. That's a good point.
Because like you said, just to raise it, so just to raise up on what you said in terms of his deficiencies don't even look like just tackling or some traditional 6 things that you need. It's actually just positioning, because he leaves himself a lot to do. So then he looks slow. He looks like he can't get about, but because he's trying to cover such a big distance, he gets tired. His position has been awful, because not just the City match. There's a match when I think he came on for parts. He played, but he was in that left channel, like he was trying to cover Tierney. It was one.
Was it Liverpool?
Last season.
Liverpool when
it was last season. It was awful. It was, or was it? Yeah, it was last season.
I remember the Liverpool match where he was getting closed down to hell, and it was rough. I remember that match. What was it 4-0 side, and they kept, as you said, they kept closing them down in that left channel.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the one. Thank you. So just all in all, happy for him. Marquinhos as well, going to Norwich. That's a great loan. I think that's a great loan. Over there at Norwich.
Yeah.
I think he goes there. I think he goes there and he balls. And obviously they've lost Todd Cantwell, I believe. So yeah, and to be fair, I've always thought David Wagner's not a bad manager. I had his little statement like Huddersfield. I thought he was not a bad manager. So go over there, teach him a little something. And obviously Cedric's gone to Fulham. So
yeah. Some outgoings. Cedric going to Fulham. I even forgot he was at Arsenal. I will be completely real with you.
Let's round up on
Chelsea. Enzo Fernandez has got the here we go from Fabrizio. 120 million all in. It's looking like they're gonna pay the complete release clause. Thoughts.
So it's not 105.
It's 120 million euros, so 105.
Oh, euros. Okay.
Pounds. Firstly, what do you think Chelsea's transfer window does for their chances in both the Premier League and Champions League? They've signed a lot of players. They're currently 10th, about 8 points away from top 4. What do you think this does?
So, firstly, is it Mudryk cup tied?
No. Cup tie don't exist for Champions League no more.
Oh, they got rid of that rule?
Yeah. 10 points. They're 10 points away from top 4.
They're 10 points away from top 4. I'm not scared or frightened of Chelsea's prospects in any competition. I don't believe they who's Milan, isn't it? AC Milan. That's
not
Dortmund.
Milan. They're playing Dortmund, yeah.
Dortmund. Dortmund's not that good right now, to be honest.
Dortmund are kind of jokers.
Dortmund are not that good right now, to be honest. And the thing with Chelsea, they can build for Champions League tournaments different. I honestly don't know, Banks. I haven't even looked at it that way. I've just looked at the isolated transfers themselves and what it does for the market in terms of these crazy fees. Sorry, I saw Liverpool line just come up. Liverpool signs, but then it's the WSL.
Makes sense. I was thinking Liverpool get.
I saw a Liverpool transfer come up. It's WSL. Fair enough. So oh yeah.
I was thinking Liverpool get active in the transfer window, don't they?
Chelsea. I don't know what this does. It moves the needle, obviously, because you've just got a whole different pool of players, but it just feels so weird. Like, how many players are on their roster now?
Ziyech has gone to PSG now, so that's one outgoing. I think Gallagher's staying, but yes, it's going to be a lot of players. There's a lot to choose from. I think this is I get why you're a bit rattled, because this is unprecedented. Like, this sort of investment, like this number of players in a January transfer window for a top club, is like, it's just not heard of.
It's a bit tacky, isn't it? Just is a bit tacky. And if I'm being completely honest, the personnel is very tacky. So, for example, typical Chelsea, they'll be like, okay, 100 mil on Verratti, and then so Verratti would have been 100 mil signing, and then the Mudryk signing would have been like 100 mil on Chiesa, or something like proven, world renowned. Like, oh, Chelsea's done it again. But now they're getting niche young talent who, personally, I don't believe they scouted like themselves. Like, they've either seen a team like him poach, or they've just seen, like, for example, Enzo in the World Cup. I don't believe they've done any due diligence in trying to scout these players, or they've known about them prior to 6 months or a couple months ago, or they have more knowledge than the average fan. And then they've just put a King's ransom fee in for them, just like, you know what, get them by any means. Surely there has to be some sort of policing and regulation around this, because if that's the case, then can't City or Newcastle just buy whoever they want as well?
Where I actually want to speak. I want to speak to accountant, somebody that's good in football knowledge.
Because this 7-year contract death rope, it doesn't justify it for me. Like, oh yeah, they've stretched the payments out. Because I'm sure Todd Bowley just isn't some genius who just thought, you know what? I'm sure it was doable before.
That's what it looks like, because they literally, like, now it's literally 5 years maximum that the FFP will count to. Like, after this window, you can keep giving 6, 7, 8 year contracts, whatever, but the FFP is only going to look at 5 years. At this point, it looks at the whole contract, so it looks like they found a loophole that nobody else really looked at.
But it doesn't make sense. You mean nobody else looked at? Because what was everybody else doing? Isn't it quite obvious? Because it's never been done before. As fans, we're not supposed to have that insight. Like, why don't we just do it? No, it just, as you pay the accountants the big bucks, or the agents the big bucks, or the club sporting directors big. So surely Arsene Wenger would have. I'm sure Wenger and these would have tried it and just been like. When we got Pepe on installments, we got ridiculed, like installment FC, like. So how all of a sudden is this genius? Or I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think it would be good to actually talk to somebody that has knowledge on, like, football money, football accounting. I'm actually going to try and find somebody and bring them onto the show, because you're right. Like, I've got a general idea of how it works, but the fact that, as you said, like, Chelsea were the first one to realize it, or Chelsea were the first one to
after a decade. Like, it's like, you know, when they bring in a new law, it's like, okay, someone's gonna like find a loophole a couple years in. FFP's been existing since we were like in secondary school. Like, it's like been like, oh, FFP, we know we can't spend that much. Okay, if we spend 60 mil on Kaka, we know we can't spend another 80 mil on Ronaldo unless we're like Real Madrid. But do you get what I mean? There's certain things, or because our owner has to reflect in his outgoings and his incomings, and which all that stuff, we have a loose knowledge on it. But Chelsea completely
just broke
Palace, like broke it, like
they fucked it off. But we were saying before about Enzo Fernandez. I think, again, top midfielder. We saw that in the World Cup. I think even before the World Cup, like, from when he was at River Plate, I'd always see his comps on the TR, and I was thinking, like, player. But to go from 10 million pound signing to 120 million pound signing. That's definitely just a club that like honestly doesn't care about the money and like are willing to just spend the money because you can't tell me you can't find another midfielder for
The same
60,
price.
70 odd million that like you could go to League One, pull out a midfielder that can do 70 to 80% of the 80% of that job.
You name someone off the
What
top
about
of your head. Not from League One, but anyone. The
anyone?
type of player Enzo is. Name a player like that. Because
Kone
for me,
from Mönchengladbach.
okay. For me, the this way you need Nathan because Nathan will bring someone from Eastern Europe.
It's easy. Definitely would have names in there. I
Oh,
think it's just
Kaduro
this
Kone.
thing where, like, if you can get Enzo Fernandez, don't get me wrong, you get him because he's quality. But the point I'm trying to make isn't that he's not quality, but getting Enzo Fernandez 120 million, like you need him. I need this player. I need him. Maybe he'll prove me wrong, and when he plays, he'll be like, oh shit, yeah, just forget the money. He's cold. Just forget. Like some players, when you see them play, you just be like, oh yeah, fair. Like you can't really banner them on the price tag because it's just like, yeah, that player's worth. Maybe when Enzo plays, I'll see that, but I just think about it now, and it's just like, again, good scouting process is like having that scouting process, having that network, having like scouts that you trust, that know profiles, that know what you want, can get you those sort of midfielders for a fraction of the price that you paid for Enzo. And this is not me hating. This is not just because I like Enzo and I wanted Enzo to come to Manchester United. I'm not hating, but
You hating.
I'm hating a little bit, just a little bit. I'm hating a
Nah,
little
to
bit.
be fair, I watched him in the World Cup and he peak footballer, but yeah, you're right. Like there was a time when these type of transfers, it's like this has to be a defining transfer in
Bro,
changing the trajectory of your club. That's what I'm trying to say. This is why what Chelsea's doing makes no sense. When Van Dijk went for big money, we said, is this gonna make Liverpool like a force to be reckoned with? When Harry Maguire went to Man United, those are the questions we were asking. When Pogba went to Man United, when Lukaku went to United, when Lukaku went to Chelsea. Then in the last 2 years, it seems like these sorts of. I think the only signing when it proper started, if I'm being honest, where we thought we know it's not going to have that impact, but hey, he's a peak player, was Grealish. From Grealish onwards, every other big transfer from Grealish onwards, we were like, okay, that's just the fee. I guess it's the market.
Yeah.
I guess it's the
Oh,
market.
yeah,
So
the market.
Grealish, Anthony, Mudryk, Enzo, we all thought, okay, I guess it's the market.
They're generally just pieces for their club. Like they're not it's not the final touch. It's not like this is what makes the club this is what's going to take the club back to the top. Is that if you ask Chelsea fans, they'll still tell you, yeah, we still need another midfielder on top of Enzo. Like we need another midfielder to come in. And it's like fair enough, like tactically you look at it, you agree, but for the money that you spent on Enzo, like you'd think, yeah, that's it. That's that.
If you're spending money on a midfielder, if you're spending money on a midfielder, like in a midfielder in Enzo's position, that amount of money, they should be Kante-esque, like they should be world class, like they should be able to go down in the books, and they should be a midfielder that at least play two positions. Obviously, not play two positions, but they feel like it's two midfielders in one. Do you get what I mean? So
yeah.
Bellingham is who you pay that money for. If I'm being honest, like because he changes the whole trajectory of your club.
It's gonna be interesting to see in terms of Chelsea, like what they're
They must
doing.
be excited as a fan base but for
Bro,
me, I'm putting money on the start of next season. Chelsea don't make top four.
oh, you get good odds at this point.
Chelsea ain't making top four.
I say you lock that in right now. You get good odds.
I might lock that in now, but I don't think next season's markets are open. Chelsea ain't making top four.
I say you do it, man. So request a bet. I know you got a Sky Bet account. I know.
Let's
Don't
wrap it
worry.
up. It's getting late. It's work tomorrow.
I'm gonna quickly run through a couple of bits and pieces transfers. Let's call it that. Just give me your initial thoughts. Keylor Navas to Nottingham Forest.
Forest, there's a gumbo going on over there, and I feel like if anyone takes a sip of that soup, you're going to the toilet. There's too many pieces. There's too much seasoning in that. Too much seasoning in that gumbo.
What was
Too much seasoning in that gumbo.
John Joe Shelby.
How many pieces do you want to put in a stew? You got carrot, peas, sweet corn, mushroom, chicken, beef, duck. Like you've got everything in there. Everything. Like everything. Like what tofu?
You take another bite. It's a different meat that you're eating.
Like what is this?
I like the chicken. Oh, and then you pick up. Oh shit! Why the fuck am I eating duck?
Yeah, you get what I mean. That's Nottingham Forest, and for me, there's too many chefs, man. But hey, well done. They did need a keeper.
Crystal Palace. I want to ask you to rate this one because I know you haven't watched him. Palace. I just want to do this for my Palace people out there. Palace signed midfielder Nayuru Ahamada from Stuttgart, French midfielder. Another one for Vieira to put under his wing. Amari Hutchinson went on loan to West Brom. How do you feel about that? A lot of people say
well. Who's West Brom? Slaven Bilic. Who's West Brom?
Nah, I don't even know at this point. I won't lie to you.
Well. You left Arsenal, and you left Arsenal because you wasn't getting enough game time. Carlos, no, I don't know him. Corberan. You left Arsenal and then you're in West. Okay, cool. Best of luck to you, young blood.
Andre Ayew to Everton. Do Everton stay up?
Andre Ayew's agent has done a fantastic job in his career. I give him that.
Paul the Worldie.
The Ayew's agents, both of them.
Paul the Worldies.
Both of them. Both Andre and Jordan, but specifically Andre.
Because man was he playing in Dubai or something? Hakim Ziyech to PSG.
I think everybody wins there. I think Ziyech would be happy to be in Paris.
All right. Doherty went to Atletico Madrid. These are love taking a British. Not even British.
Right. Yeah, they want to take a right back and mold him into. So basically, he's going work experience under Simeone. Hopefully, he comes out as good as Trippier did. Shout out Onoa, man. Onoa. So give him a little shout out there. Released by Fulham. Getting released is not really easy, man. It's tough.
Onoa? Oh, Nedum?
Wait. No. Sorry. Why? Onoma. Sorry. Why did I pronounce his name like that?
Oh, Onoma. Ah, man. Fair play to him, man. Hopefully he finds a club. He wasn't really featuring this season. So.
They got Preston agreed.
Oh, swear done. Fair play
Preston
to him.
Friend. Got Preston.
Shout out Uncle the taxi driver, man. Never forget him. Never forget.
That was the most random day of our lives, but yeah.
All right, people, man. This has been the final third transfer deadline day reaction show. Enzo locked in for Chelsea, 120 million all in. Jorginho's gone to Arsenal.
Pedro Porro's gone.
Pedro Porro, top right wing back, has gone to Tottenham. Jed Spence has taken his talents abroad to France, to Rennes. Doherty to Atletico Madrid, a whole bunch of things. We might do a little transfer rundown. I'll post some tweets next tomorrow of all the transfers that went down. You'll see the biggest ones. I've been your host, joined by my ever faithful co-host Lavish, or Oluwashemi Lore, or Kante's cousin. It's been Banks, your boy. Have a lovely evening. I'm gonna play that beautiful music.
You are now listening to The Final Third.
I think Pepe's so coachable.
Wow, you should be in
Just need to
prison.
shake him.
You should be in prison. We build you out. We build you out to come and play this season. You're out here disgracing us. You should be in prison.